Do you want to create a scrapbook layout, but you're having a creative block and not sure where to start? One of my top 5 tips is to pick a pack, just one pack of designer series paper, so pattern paper, and start there. Hello, my name is Amanda Farlinger with From Where I Stamp near Kingston, Ontario, Canada, and I help women tell their story and capture memories through scrapbooking. So the designer series paper, to market, this is what it looks like. And I've picked some photos from my garden from 2022. So we have cucumber plant and the cucumber. You kind of can't quite see it because it's all, I'm going to say garden green because that's what it kind of looks like, garden green. And then a green pepper in there. So one of the colors in this pack of paper is garden green. So these photos were perfect to match with this paper. So starting with the designer paper, there's colors listed on it, on the designer series paper, and it's Blackberry Bliss, Pecan Pie. We have Pumpkin Pie, which is the orange, and then Garden Green, and Real Red, of course, because of tomatoes. So that's one side of the paper. And I love this one because it has like lettuce and onions and tomato and, oh, there's peppers in there too. And then this is the other side. I love this design because purple's my favorite color. So, oh, and another green that I've used this tomato piece. I cut it up a little bit too much. So it's not a full 12 by 12 piece. So this paper here, I pulled the colors from it, and there's 2 color combos I decided to start with. So when you look in the catalog or even online, it will tell you what colors are either in the suite or in the paper. So generally, these colors that are listed here at the bottom of the suite page in the catalog will be the colors that are in the designer paper. Sometimes there's extra colors not listed there, but all the colors are listed in the store for that. So what I did was I picked 2 different color combos. So we have Garden Green, Pecan Pie, and Pumpkin Pie. There's a lot of pie in this catalog because we have peach pie too. So lots of pie. Blackberry Bliss, Garden Green, and Real Red. So I decided to do 2 layouts together. So I have, there's 7 3x4 photos. And all products I'm going to use will be in a link below. So the product list for the scrapbook layout will be in the description below. So if you want to check that out, follow that link. So I decided to do 2 pages using this suite with 2 different color combos. And let me know which color combo you like best, because I kind of lean towards the Blackberry Bliss because it's purple, but I like how they both are turning out. All right, so put this aside for now. So there's our paper, and this is what the layout looks right now. So these photos, we love growing a garden, especially since we have a Cocker Spaniel who loves to inspect the garden, and he likes to sit in the garden, and he loves tomatoes. He loves beans. He doesn't like cucumber, but he likes peppers, and he likes carrots. So most of what we grow, he likes. So most of what's on the paper and the stamp set, the Market Goodness, he likes. And not so much the onion. I don't know if I've given him turnip. I think I have given him turnip before. So I've just layered these. I tried pumpkin pie, but pumpkin pie seemed a little harsh with the paper colors I chose. So this one here, this color combo that we're making for this layout is Garden Green, Pecan Pie, and Pumpkin Pie. So I chose designer paper that mostly focused on these colors. And I followed a sketch that used these strips, which was very interesting. I haven't made a layout like this before. So I've started gluing some of these items down. I did some pre-stamping and die cutting because this Market Goodness stamp set, it's really neat, but it's a multi-layer stamp. So like this is the leaf for the onion, and this is the leaves for the carrots, and then there's the tomatoes, but then you can put the stems, and then the lettuce has 2 colors, and then this is for the rutabaga or turnip or whatnot. So, and then you have the dies, and the dies cut out the full thing once you have it all stamped together. So I did some pre-stamping and die cutting, but we're still going to do some stamping so I can show you how it all goes together. So I'm going to put these pieces in the rest of the way. So this sketch that I'm following is from a class I'm doing with scrapbook cards in today. So I've purchased the class. It's a full year-long class, which is really neat. So every month we get sketches to follow along with. So it's interesting for me to get new ideas for scrapbooking. And then this one here was taking a 9 or 9.5, I can't remember, square, and then just cutting it up so you have this angled look. And then I used 3 different designs to get this feeling. I could have used one designer series paper to do it all, but I kind of like the multicolored of some of the samples that others had created in the class. All right, spacing's off a little bit on this one, but that's okay. It's more of a, almost makes, that's what it makes me think of. Makes me think of rows in the garden. So you might have a row of, I know carrots aren't orange up top, but you could have cucumber flowers, because this kind of yellow, but it's kind of orangey. And then flowers, and then grass or different pathways. So this design made it work with the sketch, or these colors made it work with the sketch because it felt like gardenish. So I've taken this green pepper and put it up on dimensionals. And so it's going to be the main focal point, just because I didn't want the pepper to hide, because it's all green and it's really hard. I've tried many times to take really good photos of all the vegetables in the garden. And when it's all green, it's hard. Like here's a cucumber, but it's hard to tell on the camera, like it's hiding behind the leaves. So, but that's good. And then we had a trellis. Flynn this year tore up our cucumber plant. So we aren't having cucumbers this year, but I guess that's what happens when you have a puppy. He's still learning about the garden. All right, so let's do some stamping. We're going to put this off to the side, and we're going to do some stamping. So I pulled the colors from the designer paper. So this one has 6 or 5 colors in it. Pecan pie, real red, garden green, pumpkin pie, I know it looks yellow, the sun has faded it, and blackberry bliss. So there's the colors. And we're going to get some stamping done on this. And where's my blocks? Oh, there's my blocks. Oh yeah, and I have some other stamping to do on the layout itself. You might have spied it. Leave a note if you spied where I've already stamped that. All right, so we're going to start with the tomatoes. So I've tried it both ways, stamping the tomatoes first or stamping the vines first. I like putting the vines on after, but try it out yourself. I'm not a huge fan of 2-step stamping. This is kind of like a 2-step, because you're stamping one color then the other on top of it. But I appreciate that the stamps are separate, so that way I can do 2-tone stamping. So do real red for the tomatoes and garden green, and then we're just going to try and line up the white spots to the stems. I love the tomato stems. I don't know about you, but going out to the garden and digging through the tomato plants, and your hands smell like, they get like this green stuff on your hands from the vines, and then your hands smell like tomatoes. Griffin loves going and inspecting the tomato plants. So right now we have a few tomatoes turning red. We're kind of behind. Stamp sets over here. We kind of planted late this year. So he's out there every once in a while sniffing the tomato plants, because they smell like tomatoes, but they're not ripe yet. So we have to be very careful when the tomatoes get red, because then he'll eat the tomatoes right on the vine. And I mean, that's adorable and everything, but it's kind of annoying when you want to have tomatoes and not have him eat them. All right, so I'm going to show you the carrot, and then we'll do a little bit of die cutting. So pumpkin pie. Now, one tip for the carrots and the onions, and maybe even the turnip, is tapping lightly. Oops, we're going to have to do it this way because the length of the carrots, but then stamping again. So you have a dark carrot grouping and a light carrot grouping. I found for the onions, just move that off to the side. Let me find my onions here. So I stamped them in Blackberry Bliss. And you can see this one is stamp 1 and then stamp 2. You really can't see the definition in this one, but you can in the second one. So depending on how juicy your ink pad is, will depend on what the image looks like once you stamp it. And the lighter you tap with your stamp onto the ink, the less ink it picks up, for the better image that you'll get. And then the Simply Chamois, just with water to clean our stamps. So let me know. I'd love to know, do you grow a garden? Do you do vegetables or do you do flowers? I have the main garden, which is a big garden, at least I think it's a big garden. And then we have a side garden, which has basil and parsley and onions this year and chives. All right, so Stampin' Cut Mini. You can also use the large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, but the Mini is just a perfect size. Okay, we're gonna put the ink up there, out of my way. So we have our platform and one of our cutting plates, and then I'm going to cut them one at a time, just so they don't move around. So then here's so I put my dies into an empty stamp case with some magnet sheets on there, just because I store my dies in a drawer, and the die case that it comes in, the plastic sleeves, which is perfectly great way to store your dies, it doesn't fit in my drawer. So I put them in another stamp case, and you can buy extra stamp cases. So then there is our tomatoes cluster, all stamped, die cut, ready to go. And if you're wondering what the date is on the basic white, that is the date the photos were taken. I didn't want to forget, and I wanted to put the date on this layout. Whoops, once I have everything all together. So let's put this back. So you want to line up the edge of the stamped image to the inside of the dies. And I usually put my finger on it. And then once it starts, you want to hold onto the handle at the top. And then we have offset carrots, but oh well, no big deal. Okay. Put those out of the way. Yeah, and we're going to want to stamp here in just a minute for kind of our title-ish, I guess you could call it. All right. So I wanted, the sketch had a grouping of stuff up here, and then I wanted to have, oh, we're going to do another die cut. Where did it go? I'm being silly. So I love this little basket, woven basket thing here. I wanted to show you how you can use that. So pecan pie, and the die is a little bit bigger than that piece. This is adhesive, or this is a piece of adhesive sheet, and it's in 3 different strips. So you can cut whatever. Let's do down here. And then you don't have to be fancy about it. Just cut up here, and then you can pull this off the backing, and then right down here. And then you want to burnish it. If I had my foam folder. And then we need the die cutting machine again. So the adhesive sheet allows for me to put this on my layout really easily without having to put fine, because this is really intricate die. So then this way, I can just peel off the backing and this will be ready to be put on my layout. So we're going to put some tomatoes and carrots into the basket or the bag on the layout. So as a reminder, all the products I'm using for this layout will be listed below in the description. And then you can go there to my online store to have a peek at all the products. So use the die brush. You're supposed to put the die brush on the, oops, I'm getting it everywhere now. Supposed to put the die brush on the take your pick tool, but I find I can use it this way too. And then it just pops out of there. And then I take off these little bits. There we go. Okay. Put the dies away so I don't lose them. Whoopsie. All right, so now we can put the rest of this together. So on the sketch, it had a bundle or a grouping of items up here, and I wanted some tags, but I didn't really want to die cut them out. So we have these labels and layers mix and match. They are die cuts, and 2 packs of these actually fit. So I have the labels and layers, and then the saying something mix and match in one thing, and I've just one stamp case, and then I've just taken a piece of basic white with a sticky note to divide the 2 of them. So these are pre-colored, pre-die cut for you. You get 2 sheets of each design. So I've popped some out to play with. So what I've pulled out to kind of fit the colors and the theme. So we have this really cool, looks like garden green, and then the circle with the leaf. That's what I decided to use. But other options were this little square with these little dashes. That would work too. And this is kind of pecan pie-ish, but I wasn't sure about the rainbow circle, partial circles here, and it kind of got lost on the page. So I decided not to do that. All right, so first we're going to see where I need to put this, because it's going to go down here, and it kind of gets lost too, but we're going to stuff it full of vegetables, kind of stuff it. But I want to see where the photos need to go down. So we want this one here. We don't want to put glue here. So something like that should work. And then we'll put some glue on the back of here to kind of tuck this behind the 2 photos. And we'll take our backing off the dimensionals. And yeah, I know I probably shouldn't have taken that top one off, but that's okay. And then just have that popped up a little bit. And then I might have to use tweezers to pull this backing off. Yep. And then just pull that off. And then my suggestion would be to stick the vegetables in first. So we're going to put the carrots in. And then if you have like I have these tomatoes that kind of die cut off center. So we're going to stick those in because no one's really going to notice the off center piece there. And I'm going to put a little bit more tomatoes back here. I think, just to make the bag look a little fuller. And then we can either use glue, or I'm going to use some glue dots just to make it a little easier. So everything kind of sticks to the page. So it's going to go right about here. And then we're going to grab these 2 purple onions. And glue dots are nice and easy for this. One thing I would love to do is grow bigger onions. Our onions they aren't really big onions. So I'd love to get onions that would last us a few months. We grow potatoes as well. And the potatoes we have pretty good, just getting them to last until like February, January, if we've had a good crop. But the onions, not so much. So I don't know whether we're just not planting the right soil or we're just not planting them soon enough. Oh, whoops. I meant to do some more stamping on the layout. I even said it earlier. So this little XXX, like cross stitch, I think I might do one. I put it down here along the bottom. Now I put it on after I glued down the designer series paper. Whoops. But we're going to do a little bit more stamping. So we're just going to take it off and put it on the table to kind of make it straightish. Pick it up with block H. Then we're going to use some pecan pie. I'm going to want pie after talking about all these pies. I don't know. How about you? Pecan pie sounds good. Pumpkin pie, no. I don't like pumpkin pie. I'm going to stick that up there. And I think I'm just going to do that one. So we have some up here, and then we have all the way along the bottom. You could technically do this on each of the strips if you wanted to create that little kind of faux stitching. But that to me seems a little overkill, but I like just that little bit on the designer paper. And I don't usually stamp right on designer paper, but it's interesting. Okay, so I have carrots and tomato and an onion. To put on here somehow. And then I wanted to put the date. Where was that date? Here's the date. So I have my Stampin' Right marker in basic black. So now I have to decide if I'm going to write it on. Oh, I was going to stamp. That's what I was going to do. Like, I'm missing a step. So I want to put, maybe just hello. I don't know if bursting with happiness will work if I stamp it twice. Happiness. Oh, it does. Okay. You could cut that in half if you wanted, if you feel that that's something that you would use the 2 of them separate. But if not, that's not going to stamp very well. Where's that block? This block would be better. What you can do is use a sticky note, and I could use 2 different colors. So let's see. We probably should use garden green. And this was pumpkin pie, but pumpkin pie seemed wrong. So let's do pecan pie and garden green. And then we can use some sticky notes to cover up the words. And I'm going to use happiness in green. So let's get bursting with. So you leave the sticky note on there and then just pick up pecan pie. And then we want to say bursting with, clean it off. And then you want to dry it off a little bit. So then your sticky note will stick to the opposite side. And then we'll pick up the garden green for happiness. Make sure it's facing the right direction. And we'll put it right here. And there we go. So then we have this bursting with happiness. I think that's a great title for this layout. And we'll pop this up on some dimensionals as well. I like having that kind of space underneath items, so everything doesn't look so flat when it's in the scrapbook. All right, so I like that. So let's put some glue on the back of this. Too many things in my way. So what is your favorite thing to grow? Let me know. I don't know. Potatoes are kind of my favorite thing, although tomatoes are good too because salsa. And Griffin loves them, and so does Flynn. Flynn likes everything Griffin does, except he'll eat cucumber too, where Griffin won't. But I like taking his photos because our garden this year is not as good as the garden was in 2022. Oh, oops, I forgot to put the year. So it's good to take photos. Now I have a lot more photos on my computer. Let me write first. August 11th, 2022. Yay, I didn't mess it up. All right, I don't need the date anymore. So our garden this year is not as good as it was in 2022. And I think it was 2019, our tomatoes were about as tall as my husband. So they were over like about 6 feet tall. So you never know what'll happen. Either with your front yard, your backyard, if you grow a garden, what might change from year to year. So it's always interesting, to me anyway, to take pictures and then you can compare them. And then you can pick your favorite photos and make a scrapbook layout. We have to put tomatoes on here. Now you're probably going, okay, where's Griffin? You're talking about Griffin. Flynn wasn't around in 2022. And so I have a layout. Remember that other color combo I was talking about? So we had the garden green pecan pie, or pecan pie and pumpkin pie. I'm getting my pies all mixed up. So this color combo, or this page, was based off of this color combo. And then I created a second page that'll be over here in my layout, or in my scrapbook, which uses pecan pie, or not pecan pie, there I'm going with the pies, Blackberry Bliss, Garden Green, and Real Red. So this color combo is a little different than this color combo, but let's see if I can show you both layouts. Just move some stuff. I got to remember to put embellishments. I always forget to put embellishments on my layouts when I do my videos. All right, so my picture, my head is kind of covering it, but here is one side with the date, and then over here, which you kind of can't see at the moment, is my little bit of journaling about Griffin in the garden. So there he is, and there he is, and there he is, and there he is. One of my favorite things to do is take a photo when he's walking through the garden and then post it on Facebook and go, can you spy Griffin? Sometimes he looks like the dirt. So we have two different color combos. But because we're using this pack of paper and using the colors from the paper, we are able to create these layouts, be creative, scrapbook these memories, and they're on either side, you know, of like in a scrapbook. They're the left and right pages, but they look like they're supposed to be together, which is important when creating a story. So these photos are all on the same day. I'm adding a little bit of Blackberry Bliss over there, even though it's not part of this color combo. But we're just going to go with it. Just sprinkle some of these little, what are they called? Transparent adhesive back dots. I really like these. They're really round. So they add just a little bit more to the layout. There we go. All right, so the description below will have the links for these products for both of these layouts because we use the same items. And that number one tip is start with a designer series paper and pick colors from it to match your photos. And then share with me what vegetables you like to grow, or if it's flowers, or something you like to buy from the farmer's market. And we'll see you next week. Happy stamping.